For this lesson, we'll be creating modified contour line drawings. Here is my demo example. In a modified contour drawing, you are describing the forms purely with line, not value. You are bringing in the careful observation from blind contour, but you can now look at your paper and modify mistakes. For this drawing, we will also learn two new techniques, running plumb lines and checking angles. Plumb lines are lines that you can run vertically and horizontally on your drawing subject by holding up your pencil, and it's in order to estimate the size and the placement of these objects. Checking angles. When you check your angles, you hold up your pencil and check the angles on your object. Angles are often more severe than you initially think. Check them for accuracy. This is particularly important for boxy forms. Here's my drawing again, and I've pointed out where you can see the lines I sketched in as I was checking my angles and running plumb lines. These checks should be clear in your own drawings. Next up, you can watch my drawing process and see how I make these checks as I go. Alright everyone, now we're going to try a modified contour drawing. So in modified contour, you can look at your paper, but you're still keeping that active and slow observation that comes with the blind contour. Another thing, in a contour drawing, you're only using line to describe the forms. So you're not going in and shading everything, you're just going for a line describing the forms. You can do a line describing this pattern, but you're not mapping in value. Instead, you're focusing on the outline of that form. I'm also going to be introducing two important drawing techniques, and that is going to be running plumb lines. So you'll see me do that. That's where you're running a line that's going vertically, and you're checking with where different parts of an object line up with other parts of the object, okay? So you'll see me look at my drawing setup. I'll run this line going down the side of this vase, and I'll see where that intersects on the book. That's a useful bit of information that I can then apply to my drawing. The other thing, which is particularly important for a boxy shape like this, is checking the angle on different shapes. So I can check the angle of the spine of that book, I can see what that angle is, and I can carry that angle directly down to my paper. So let's get started. Okay, and for your drawings, I want you to select one object that in some way is acting like a sphere, so it has a roundness to it, and one object that's acting more like a cube. And that can be kind of rectangular, it doesn't have to be a perfect square, but something that has a boxy form to it. And I might even draw my cats since they decided to join. Okay, so first, alright, so I'm going to start to map in. I can give myself little sort of guidelines for the edges of things are. So rather than just trying to go for something straight away, and in fact already I'm seeing that I want to give myself room to have this flower form come in. So I need to make sure I'm kind of shifting things down to give that room. So the book can instead go down here, and I'm going to check that angle. So I'm using my pencil, I'm seeing what that angle is, and I can bring that angle directly to my paper. This is a really useful thing to try because oftentimes our brains, particularly when we've just sort of started out in drawing, will try to straighten everything out. So the angles can actually be quite different than you think, and it becomes particularly important with cube-like forms. Okay, here's another angle I want to check. And then this angle right here, these are going to be parallel. Those sides will be parallel. Okay. Same thing on, so this side and that side are going to be parallel to each other. Okay, and then the spine curves down.
So first I'm just going to kind of generally map in the form, and then I will return to the side and adjust the contour. Now I'm going to start to check where this object lines up with different parts of the book. So I'm going to run plumb lines, so it can go both vertically and then also horizontally. So first I'll check the bottom of this vase, and I can kind of see where it intersects with parts of the book. So it's going to be about right here, okay? All right, and then it's going to go up. Well, let's check the sides too. So the side is going to be about right here, and this side about right there, okay? Then I can run a center line for that vase. And I'm thinking of the simple shape this is acting like. So the bottom part is kind of acting like a sphere. So I can kind of build that shape into this. And the bottom part, because it's a round form, is also, there's a roundness there. It's not just flat. Okay, so we're paying attention to that. Okay, this comes up. And the top will be, the top lip part will be about right there. And I can also even check on the sphere. One way that I can start to try to tell how thick this is I can run a plumb line and see where this edge comes down and intersects with other parts of the vase. So I can see it's maybe about right there. I'll do the same thing on the other side, about right here. So checking angles and running plumb lines helps you become more accurate in your drawing. These are a few skills that I'm introducing now, and we're going to have many more that we're going to go over the semester. Okay, so I'm going to basically place everything. And let me see where the edge of this flower, so it's going to go just off of the book. Okay, so this will run over here. This flower form will be like that. All right, now I'm going to start to really look at the contour of these forms and the specific shapes that I'm seeing. I've kind of mapped in a general kind of gesture for myself of where everything is at. I've checked those angles and run those plumb lines. Now I'm going to do more of a finished modified contour drawing. So again, I'm just focusing on those contour lines. I'm taking that kind of blind contour, slow observation, but I'm also looking at my paper too, so I can see if I'm going a little too far in different parts. Alright. And what I'm noticing as I'm looking at this vase is the curve starts a lot sooner than I might have thought if I was just sort of glancing at the vase. It has a really short little neck. So that's something specific about this vase. Okay, and the bottom has that roundness to it, and there is also kind of a lip at the bottom. So I'm going to describe that. Okay, let's go to the other side. So curves back in, and then becomes quite round. Okay, slow and active observation. Now I also want to draw this glaze pattern that is on this vase. So first I'm going to start off by giving myself a guideline for where the glaze pattern kind of is, and I can also check that again with a plumb line. I can kind of run a horizontal line through the vase and kind of see a sort of best line to describe where that glaze pattern goes. So it's kind of about like this, and it's a round object, so that's wrapping around the vase. And now I'm just going to start to kind of draw the glaze pattern around my guideline and I'm really looking at the patterns that I'm seeing in this particular vase. So I'm really trying to pay attention to what I'm seeing in front of me rather than drawing my idea of what a vase looks like. Right, so active observation and presence is the key here. And we're going to try to carry these things that we're going over today into our painting practice. Okay, so all right. One thing I'm also kind of noticing is actually I think the book might go a little bit farther back. No, maybe not. I might be changing angles. Yeah, the book definitely goes a little bit farther back. So I'm going to carry this line through, and then I'm going to carry that angle over. Okay? So if you have to make adjustments, that's fine. That's part of the process. Alright, now I'm looking at the book. And there's also interesting things going on with the book. This isn't just a flat angle right here. There's a kind of not a dent, but a, yes, okay, so a dent has been made in the book, and then it curves. That's part of the how this book spine has been constructed, right? So there's this kind of lip and ridge. And then the spine curves out, so it's not just a flat, straight spine. So that's something that I can also see when I'm actively observing, but if I was just sort of drawing a book from memory, that might be something that I kind of flatten or straighten out. So we want to really look at what we're actually seeing.
Make sure as you're drawing that you keep looking back to your drawing subject. Pay attention to the forms you are actually seeing. Don't make visual assumptions. Remember that slow observation from blind contour.
Okay, so I'm pretty close to done with my modified contour drawing. I'm going to be filling in a few more details in here, but just a reminder, we're just doing the lines here, so you're not putting in a bunch of shading. And the whole idea too is to focus on trying out these drawing skills of running those vertical plumb lines and horizontal plumb lines too, and then also checking the angles on different objects and bringing that directly to your drawing.